Hey PokeDad fan club, this is me PokeDad, and today we've got a bit of news. I haven't had a news update in a long time, but this one was so important that I needed to get it out to you right away. And I'll also be putting out some other news updates shortly in the future, but this one was very important. So Shiftry, Dark Shiftry is what we call it, and it's from Next Destinies in the black and white era, has been officially banned from Expanded. Alright, so let's talk about the implications of this, what the card does, why it was so powerful. But before we do that, let's do a little bit of recap. We're going to just briefly talk about Standard versus Expanded, what the difference is, why Expanded is so important right now, and then we'll talk about the card and the implications and the future of Pokemon as it relates to the card and banning in general. Alright, so you've heard me harp about Standard a lot. I've done some news updates talking about Standard. Each year, so many of the sets are no longer to be able to be used in Standard format. Now, Standard format actually is going to be rotating tomorrow officially, I believe. Or maybe it was today. But if it was today, it hasn't changed on PTCGO, which it should have already. But it's either September 1st or September 2nd where the new standard comes into play. Now, the new standard right now is XY base set to Ancient Origins. So any card from base set in XY all the way through Ancient Origins is standard format. Anything before that either goes into Expanded or the really early sets goes into Unlimited. Now, they've expanded, okay? And what that means is last year they only had a few sets that were in Expanded, but this year they're actually making all of black and white base set through Legendary Treasures expanded. So that means anything from the black and white era and in XY on can be used in an expanded tournament. Now, why is that important? Because this year they've made all regional tournaments expanded format. They used to make it standard on day 1, and then on day 2 it was expanded. But they have decided that all regional tournaments this year will be expanded. So that means this fall, winter, and spring regional tournaments will all be in the expanded format, which means that you can use the black and white all the way through Ancient Origins, and as more sets come on, you can add those. Now let me just stop and say this will not affect league challenges, because league challenges will be standard, city championships will be standard, and states, as far as I know, will all be standard format. Just regionals has been affected. As far as nationals and worlds, that's a little too far away to even be thinking about. I don't know what format they'll be putting those in. But right now, league challenges and cities and states are going to be standard. Now, so what does that have to do with this Shiftry? Well, Shiftry, this Dark Shiftry from Next Destinies, is in a black and white era, and it was one of the decks that was becoming very popular online. If you went to Unlimited or Expanded, you could see this deck a lot, and it's a very annoying deck. So let's just take a look at the ability. Giant Fan. We'll even see if we can enlarge it here. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may flip a coin. If heads, choose one of your opponent's Pokemon. Your opponent shuffles that Pokemon and all cards attached to it into his or her hand. Now, it never really got traction because it just never could be really capitalized on in black and white era. But because we have the new Forest of Giant Plants, Shiftry now, there's been decks that are made just around this card and this card only. So, what they would do is Forest of Giant Plants allows you to evolve grass Pokemon, but it's not based on what you're evolving into, it's based on what you're evolving from. So Seedot and Nuzleaf both have grass types, so you can start with a C dot, play the Forest of Giant Plants, evolve to Nuzleaf, and then you can evolve to Shiftry. So this giant fan can be used over and over and over. You can be spamming it because they play multiple copies of it in the deck. They also play all the cards, all the draw cards. So Roller Skates, Shaman, Unknown, Acrobike. All these cards get thrown into the deck so that they can literally go through their deck in one turn. All 60 cards. I've seen it done. Matter of fact, they can deck out and lose the game. But that's really the whole idea. They want to play one turn and then end the game. Either they'll win or they'll lose, and most of the time they do end up winning. And the reason is they can spam this ability Giant Fan over and over and over. And if you can get, there's possibility you can get 10 coin flips, and you're probably only going to need 2 or 3 to knock out your opponent, because most people aren't going to start with more than 1 or 2, 3 Pokemon on their bench. Very rarely out of a hand of 7 do you start with 4 Pokemon in your hand. And so they get 10 flips, and odds are they're going to win the game. Now, do they always get 10 flips? No, it's possible that it doesn't work. But generally speaking, Shiftry can basically, before you even have a chance to play, win the game for your opponent. And they use it with Devolution Spray to give them extra opportunities. They'll devolve the Shiftry back to the Nuzleaf and put it back down, and eventually you just lose, and before you even get a chance to play. So here was the official ruling, and this is what Pokemon had to say about this card. As of September 1st, 2015, Shiftry will be banned from all sanctioned play Pokemon tournaments that use the expanded format. This card has created an undesirable play environment because it A, creates a strategy that frequently wins on the first turn of the game, and B, creates a non-interactive play environment where the opponent has little impact on the outcome of the match. Now, that is an understatement to say the least. Matter of fact, some people have called this Shiftry deck watching someone play solitaire. I mean, that's really how bad it's been, because you basically, if you're playing against it, you watch your opponent play, and they're going to play through 60 cards of their deck, and either they're going to win or they're not going to get all your Pokemon off and they lose. Now, there were some hard counters to the deck, but it just makes it hard for people to put those in there without a good, I mean, you have to build around either Wobbuffet, or you have to build around the new Baltoy with the ancient trait Theta Stop, or if somehow you can go first and get Mega Sceptile out, then they couldn't use the Shiftry against you. But again, if you're going first, there's a good chance you're going to be able to get more Pokemon down anyway. If they go first, it's not going to matter unless you have, Wobbuffet or that Baltoy already in play. So, that being said, they did ban it. Now, let's talk about what the future holds for this, because now we've had 2 bans within just a couple months, which is rare for Pokemon. We haven't had bans in, from what I understand, 15 years before, and now we have 2 bans right real close together. And this paragraph is really revealing about Pokemon's heart right here. As new expansions are released, powerful card combinations with older cards may arise. Therefore, we will, and here's the word I want you to focus on, aggressively monitor tournament results and new expansions for any unhealthy card combinations. If any cards have a negative or centralizing effect on the metagame, we will ban them to maintain a fun and healthy play environment. So, it sounds to me like they mean business, and it looks like from now on we're going to be seeing a lot more bans. So, card games like Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh!, which have a standard ban list, you're going to see now, I think, we're going to see a lot more bans coming out of Pokemon. What I'm surprised is they offed Shiftry, but there's still another Donk deck that uses the Forest of Giant Plants, and that is Fortress. That deck is still very viable, can still donk on turn 1. And so the question is, are they going to get rid of Fortress next? I don't know, but as soon as I find out, I will be the first to let you know. I'll get that information out to you as soon as I possibly can. Anyway, guys, so that's what I wanted to let you know about Shiftry being officially banned. Hit like, subscribe, and I'll have more news updates for you. Put in the comments what you think about Shiftry. Were you for it or were you against it? And tell me why. Anyway, we'll talk to you later. This is PokeDad signing off. Bye, guys.